Hello, everyone. Welcome to our SheGlow webinar. I know I've been introducing myself repeatedly for the past 10 minutes.
I'm eating curry right now. I didn't think about how it was like such a strong smelling thing when I bought it.
All right. So I hear somebody else also chatting at the same time. So if you are online and if your phones or computers aren't muted, please do so. Just wanted to welcome you all. My name is Gitanjali Rawat. I am the Employment Services Manager at Upwardly Global out of our San Francisco office, and I'll be your moderator today. Just wanted to say a big welcome to all of those that are attending and a happy International Women's Day. You know, today is a time to celebrate the resilience of women around the globe. And it's a celebration that resonates closely with UpGlow's work and mission. At Upwardly Global, we're working to build an equitable, more welcoming nation where everyone, including immigrants, refugees, asylees, women and men, can fully contribute and thrive. We do this by unlocking opportunities for immigrants and refugees, supporting them and accessing pathways to professional success. And we support U.S. employers in building more inclusive hiring practices that embrace diverse talent. Just last month, we celebrated an important milestone here in Upwardly Global. Our 6,000th job seeker secured a job in her professional field. And it's really fitting that this person was a woman. Tuyana recently accepted a job with an organization that helps people access higher education. And this is after she was explicitly told that she should put her own goals and aspirations on hold. But she proved everybody wrong, and she found a job within her field, and that really kind of encapsulated her worth. Upwardly Global knows that starting over, rebuilding a life and career in a new country isn't easy for anyone. But we know that women often face additional barriers in overcoming gender bias, navigating salary negotiations, and balancing responsibilities as caregivers. Today, you'll hear from 4 inspiring women with roots from all across the globe. They have successfully navigated these challenges and have gone on to build successful careers in the United States. We hope that you'll be inspired by their stories. For my fellow women in the audience, we hope that you'll come away from this webinar with advice on how to replicate their success. And for the men who are joining us today, we hope that you'll come away with insights on how to support and empower women, whether they're your colleagues, friends, or family, and advocate for equity in our workforce. I'm really, really excited about the next hour, and I can't wait to share this experience with all of you. Before we begin, I'd like to share a few housekeeping points with you. So there are 2 ways to access this webinar. One is via phone and the other is via the web link that I sent. Just make sure that you're muted for clear and smooth audio. If you join with the website link, you'll also have the option to chat in your comments, questions, or thoughts during the webinar. I can see that a few people have already started sharing, wishing everybody Happy Women's Day. Olga, Jacqueline, Zena, Caroline, Belkina, Christina have all started kind of chatting in their comments. I see there are a few questions about whether we're on mute. Yes, you have the option to mute or unmute yourselves. If you can't hear me, please just send me a chat and I can figure that out. But yeah, using the chat box would be very helpful for us to understand what your experience is and also to identify clear themes that we can use at the end to ask our panelists questions. Before we jump into the conversation, though, it is my pleasure to introduce Adeline Azrak, who is the USA Program Director with Foundation Chanel. Upwardly Global and the Foundation Chanel are in a 3-year partnership whereby we're providing employment services to refugee, asylee, and asylum I would love to introduce Adeline and the Foundation Chanel. Adeline, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gitanjali, and happy International Women's Day to everyone. We've been on a roll this week celebrating all over the place, so I hope that everybody's feeling festive. So as Gitanjali mentioned, the Fondation Chanel focuses on improving the social and economic conditions for women and girls around the world. And I have to say, we have just been so impressed by Upwardly Global's increasing gender focus of its work and total embrace of really appreciating the unique challenges that women, immigrants, and refugees face. So that's why I'm delighted to be participating in this conversation today and speaking to an audience that understands the urgency of the work in advancing women's professional aspirations and access to economic resources. And I'm so excited to hear from today's incredible panelists and professionals who have really lived this journey firsthand. So as Gitanjali mentioned, we started working with Upwardly Global on a 3-year project about 2 years ago. And we knew, in approaching them, we knew that a conversation around women's empowerment in the United States would be incomplete without really intentionally centering the voices of immigrant, refugee, and asylee women. I think the current discussions or public discourse around immigration are not sensitive to the fact that nearly 3 in 4 refugees resettled in the US are women and children, and as are 3/4 of immigrants. Starting over and rebuilding a life and a career in a new country, of course, isn't easy for anyone, but particularly for women, like the 4 women we'll hear from today, women really face additional barriers in overcoming gender bias, achieving wage equity, and balancing their responsibilities with caregivers. Another point that I just wanted to make quickly is that despite the spotlight that the Me Too movement has cast on gender bias and pay disparities and harassment, the research shows that that wage gap that we always refer to, the women earning 80 cents on the dollar compared to men, it's not budging. And it's actually the disparities between women are even more profound than the disparities between men and women. So for example, for minority women, the figure hovers between 62 and 54 cents compared to men. So we really feel that this is unacceptable and share that belief with Upwardly Global. So today we're working with Upwardly Global to break down the barriers that immigrant and refugee women face in getting back to work. So we're hoping that in the end of the 3-year partnership, we'll connect nearly 500 immigrant and refugee women with Upwardly Global's incredible tools so that they can build their professional careers and work towards getting financially independent. Upwardly Global has told us that by the end of this year, these 500 women will together earn at least $3.75 million for their families and communities. But for all of the success, we do acknowledge that lasting change is going to have to extend beyond just transforming the lives of 500 individuals. And so that's why we're committed to informing public discourse around women's rights and the plight of immigrant, refugee, and asylee populations that Upwardly Global is serving. So we have been working on some wonderful information that Upwardly Global has been putting out in a really thoughtful way. And it's our hope that dialogues like this will really equip women with ideas to shape their professional success and for men to serve as allies. So with that, I'd like to just say thank you again to Upwardly Global and specifically to our wonderful panelists today, Zina, Jacqueline, Malit, and Belkina. We're inspired by you and really looking forward to this great conversation.
Thank you, Adeline. We are so grateful for this partnership. Just wanted to add here that, women's economic empowerment has double benefits. Not only does it help, the economy in general, but it also ensures, healthy and better educated families. So, this is really an amazing opportunity and partnership, and, we're really very grateful. And I'd now like to introduce our 4 panelists. As I mentioned earlier, all are alumni of the Upwardly Global program and are now contributing to the workforce in incredible ways. Zina is a human resources professional from Iraq, currently working as an HR analyst with Neovia Logistics. Jacqueline is an international development professional from Uganda, and she currently works as a risk management specialist with Chemonics International. Bettina is a dietitian from Venezuela. She recently started working as a diet clerk with Rush. And last but not the least, our very own Marlet, who's a communications professional from Ethiopia. Marlet joined Upwardly Global as an employment services associate last year, and very recently, I believe just a few days ago, was promoted to the role of an account manager with Jobversity. So welcome all of you once again. I'd like to begin by inviting each of you to share a little bit about your background, what your job search was like once you moved to the US, and some of the challenges you faced. I'd also like to remind the audience that I am looking at the chat box. So, as you hear the panelists speak, feel free to share your thoughts, comments, and, I'll highlight some of them at the end of each section. So, Zina, would you like to kick us off?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. I joined Upwardly Global in 2017, and through their help and coaching and mentoring, I landed my first job in the United States within less than 3 months. The challenge that I had before joining Upwardly Global was how to update my CV to resume, as my previous experience was all in the Middle East, and CV does have a standard outline to write. Here it's different than Middle East. The other challenge that I had with before joining Upwardly Global is how to network, because here network is a key to find a job. After having mentoring and coaching with Upwardly Global, I joined my first networking event, and guess what? Within 3 days, I got my first job in the United States within my background and professional. So I was fortunate to be to find Upwardly Global and to have the chance to get through the training session that they offered.
Thank you, Zina. That's truly an inspiring story. Jacqueline, would you like to share a bit about yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my name is Jacqueline. My job search was nerve-wracking, if I can put it in that way. So I had worked in my country for over 10 years, and I had extensive small business and private sector experience and networks in my home country. So getting here, I knew no one. I couldn't pick up a phone to leverage relationships I had built up for years, and it was frustrating and daunting and also very scary starting at zero. So in 2017, I was introduced to Upwardly Global. So finding a network that had professionals like me was really refreshing. I was able for the first time to put my best foot forward, and I was energized because a second challenge I faced is I'm a single parent. So juggling the role of a single parent, looking out for my kids, was even more pressure on me. And hello?
Hello. I'm a new guest here.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. I just say I'm a new here. I'm a new guest, and I want to know what is this website.
Hi, this is the moderator of the event, Gitanjali. Welcome. So we are having one of our panelists speak right now. So if you could just mute your phone, that would be really wonderful. And if you have any questions,
Okay.
we can get to it at the end of the webinar. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jacqueline, over to you.
I'll just end by saying my biggest resource was Upglow helping me practice and polishing my interviewing skills, and also opening up to new networks. I was for the first time able to enter and meet people from the kind of networks that I needed to get ahead. And my experience was actually quite pleasant. I got a job in about 4 weeks after I joined Upwardly Global, which was amazing.
That's really incredible, Jacqueline. I do want to talk a little bit more about, you navigating work-life balance as a single parent, and we'll get to that later in the interview, in the webinar, sorry. Now over to Marlette. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us in this important day, and happy International Women's Day. I'm super excited to be sharing my story and my experience. So as introduced, my name is Mohamed, and I have been working with Upwardly Global for about a year and a half now. And I first joined Upwardly Global as an intern and moved to a full-time position as Employment Services Associate, which is a job coach. And very recently, as Gitanjali mentioned, I was promoted to a new position as a National Account Manager for an AppGlow project called Jobversity. So to give you just a little bit about info about my previous life, I was born and raised in a country called Ethiopia. I went to law school there. After graduation, I practiced law for a couple of years, worked as a legal expert for a government institution, and then moved to the judiciary and clerked for different judges on different levels of the court, and then joined the corporate world and worked as an HR lawyer for one of the largest airlines in Africa, and then was promoted to a communication supervisor and employee engagement professional. So I was climbing the corporate ladder, doing well, but unfortunately I had to suddenly leave my country and come to the US and seek asylum. And even before I did that, I knew how difficult it's going to be, but I never anticipated the level of difficulty. It was one of the most difficult things I have ever done. And, in addition to the personal challenges, professionally, I was devastated. Everyone that I met after I moved here told me that I can never find a professional work. I can never go back to my profession, and I had to basically start from scratch. And I was telling my frustration to one of my friends, and he introduced me to Upwardly Global. And I think that was the moment that my life changed. My life in the US changed. So Upwardly Global helped me to understand what it means to actually look and find a job, a professional job in the US. So I did not have any professional network. I didn't even know a single person who worked in my field when I first moved here. So that was the biggest challenge that I had, and where Upwardly Global helped me. And in addition to a lot of other things. Even though Upwardly Global gave me like a lot of things, a recipe for success, my biggest challenge was implementing those recipes and taking those spies and using them, because I had to work for survival. I didn't have any close family, so I had to work and pay the bills, and I had to balance my job search process with that. So, and also a lot of opportunities were in the big cities, and I had to move to San Francisco for better opportunities. But also that means that I had to work longer hours to pay the bills, because it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. So in doing that, working in a minimum wage job, paying the bills, and also, attending different events and things like that was very challenging. So this was the area that I had to navigate a lot and understand. And however, Upwardly Global's help was tremendous in terms of, formatting my resume, connecting me to different industry professionals, and helping me in general to understand how I will be successful in my job search.
Thanks so much, Marlette. Again, really, really inspiring. Thanks for sharing your background with us. For all those that are online, on the phone, and on the web, please make sure that your devices are muted, as this would provide a clear, smooth audio. Thanks so much. And last but not the least, I'd like to introduce Belkina. Please, Belkina, share with us your background and some of the challenges you faced in your job search.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being with us and joining the International Women's Day. About me, it was like I'm from Venezuela, I'm a dietitian for 4 years experience. Coming to the U.S. Was changing, it's like switching my mind, okay, what I have to do, where to start, and it was a big challenge because organizing what it should do. When I found what the global was a really good relief because even doing the job search, it was a big challenge and what is the keywords that I should use better to find a good job. Because that it was kind of stressful because even using the applications, we don't use applications to start looking for jobs in Venezuela. So that was like a big change for me. Making the resume as same to Zina, change the CV to resume. We use CV in Venezuela. It was a big challenge because our CV is like 7 pages and change it for just 1 or 2 pages here as a resume was a big challenge, but using Worldly Global as a partner, it was a big deal for me.
Thank you, Belkina. I do know that, you know, a lot of us, when we move here to the US, we, you know, struggle with like things like changing CVs to resumes, you know, professional network, and also balancing survival job and the job search. So, you know, all 4 panelists have experience in the same, and we'll, you know, unpack that, you know, a little more as we move into the webinar. Just wanted to remind all of you that we have our chat box that's open. Please share your comments and suggestions. Just wanted to shout out, you know, give shout outs to Olga, Caroline, Anna, Nina, Claudia, and Gina for wishing all of us happy International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day to all of you as well. Please, you know, use the chat box to share your thoughts and suggestions. Okay, so we're here to talk about women's empowerment and provide tips to overcome gender bias and obstacles in the US workforce. Oftentimes, immigrant and refugee women are coming from countries where gender and social norms are quite different, as are laws around gender bias. Zina, as you work in the human resources field, can you give us a broad overview of what your experience has been, you know, around gender bias and what the US law says about gender bias and discrimination in the workforce? And, you know, would love to hear from other panelists as well after. Zina, over to you.
Yeah. So what I found is really amazing here is the gender equity in job search and employment. That was an amazing thing because there was no discrimination in terms of nationality and background. Because unlike the countries that I worked before I came here to the States, the United States and the Middle East, there was like there was a little bit of discrimination in terms of gender and nationality. What I noticed here, what I felt, as long as you have the work authorization here, you can work whatever you want, whenever you want, in any state you want, and this is really amazing. As far as the labor and regulation here, I'm not that into it. However, I can share my advice to all women here that in terms of how to recognize and fight discrimination, there are several ways how to recognize gender discrimination, which are like you can find it in the hiring process, you can find it in the compensation and benefits, you can find it in meetings or like promotion. How can you like fight it? You can do your research. You can do in your organization. You can know what the organization pays your position, know what you worth, and then ask for you want. As usual, women don't ask or fight for what they want because they think that they should not do this, unlike men. As long as you have all the information, all the everything you have, all the information you gather, then it's time to ask for what you want and take your seat. Speak up. Don't keep silent, because if you keep silent, nobody can know what you are able to do. Nobody can know that your capabilities. Believe in what you think, have faith, and just speak up. This is what I feel that you need to do, and this is what my humble experience. And if you don't speak, nobody knows what your value. So this is what I feel like sharing with you all.
Thank you, Zina. Yes, definitely. I think it's a well-documented fact that women in general do have more challenges in speaking up for what they need, and doing your research and speaking up is definitely the first step that we can take. Jacqueline, would love to kind of welcome you on here to share what your experience has been, around gender and diversity issues, and any tips that you might have for the audience.
I think my experience since I started working was around the social norms in the workplace. I found that in the workplace here that gender and diversity issues are kind of very different from what I was used to. My employer actually creates a workspace where we can discuss gender and diversity issues, and there are opportunities to participate in those if you wish. The other side of gender in the workspace is the social side. I found that social and entertainment clubs in the US are very integrated. They're not like women's clubs, men's clubs. Those exist, but what I found in the workplace was we had a lot of social and entertainment clubs that I actually joined one. I joined the running club, but I was very impressed that they have like the running club and the soccer club and performing arts and book clubs, and everyone, no matter the gender, was welcome to participate. So I think one of the things I would encourage is to take a leap of faith and join these social and entertainment clubs, because that's where you meet people. And it's very easy to do that. There are apps that you can download on the website and sign in. And my experience with AppGlow actually helped me to be brave about joining these clubs, because I was very intimidated at first. But AppGlow taught me that this is a different environment, and I needed to be brave and courageous and try out things that I might not ever have done. At some of the events that AppGlow had organized for us, I met people from organizations. I went to 2 events that I met people from Robert Half International and Accenture and the Chanel Corporation. So it took me, I think the biggest advice I can give is get out of your comfort zone and talk to people and join those social and entertainment clubs.
Thanks, Jackie. I really, really like that, the advice you're giving is to take that leap of faith and, move out of your comfort zone, because there's so much out there that's waiting for you. I hear from each of you that navigating the US job search was challenging in different ways, and let's unpack that. Wage parity is a well-documented obstacle for women, both native-born and foreign-born. In 2017, American women earned just 80.5 cents for every dollar earned by a man, a wage gap of 20%. What advice would you give other women in actively trying to close this wage gap? How do you know your worth and negotiate a salary accordingly? Marlette, let's start with you.
Okay, thanks. So I actually recently negotiated for a salary for my new position, and I have to tell you, this was one of the scariest things that I have done in the workplace as a U.S. professional, and it's a very unique experience, and it was my first time doing it as well. So I was really scared, and it was challenging on so many different levels. And I think the first reason for that and why I felt so intimidated about the process was because as an outsider, like who came to the U.S. society from another culture, I feel in general the U.S. society is a very open society in terms of giving information, communication. Like even when I was a job seeker, everybody that I met in the professional world was open in terms of giving me information about their organization on so many different advices as well, and things like that. But when it comes to money and salary, it seems like it's a very closed world. It's a very secretive thing, and talking about money is kind of a taboo. So I did not know what I was getting into. So I felt really intimidated, and I felt like I didn't have enough information. And also, I didn't know how to evaluate my worth. What is my worth? What should I ask? How should I present it as well? What's the language that I should use to talk about or ask for what I deserve? And how should I frame it without looking arrogant or, all the connotations that come with it? So to solve this challenge, what I did is research. I researched a lot. I even took online courses. I wrote down everything that I'm supposed to say, and I researched a lot and dug in and came up with the language. After that, I practiced. And I asked for advice from my close colleagues and my friends, and I worked really hard on it. And I think that is the way to go about it. And during my research, I learned that it's not just me feeling like that. It's like I learned that it's a very common problem, especially for women. We have a hard time advocating for ourselves. We have a hard time saying, this is what I deserve. I think we lack a little bit of arrogance in that sense. So push for our own, development and growth. So I learned that I'm not the only one, and that gave me a lot of comfort. And I practiced, and I think it was a successful negotiation. Thanks.
Thanks, Marlette. Always makes me really happy to hear a successful salary negotiation story, because I know personally as well that it's very hard to go out there and negotiate. So congratulations firstly, and also thank you for sharing your story. I'd now like to invite Zina and then Jacqueline to share their experiences with salary negotiation. I know Zina wanted to share something around a question employers often ask about previous salary history, and Jacqueline, after that you can share your experience, with your first job here and how you navigated that whole process.
Yes. So there is most of the companies, they have in their questionnaire, what is your previous salary? And you're here, you're new, you don't have experience in the United States, so it's irrelevant to you to answer this question. Yet they keep on asking, hey, this is a must to have, this is a field I need to fill. So what I recommend, and this is what I've done, is do your research, ask people within this job category. The pay scale is really amazing. If you go to the internet and browse the pay scale, it's a great tool. There's something in LinkedIn where you ask people for advice. This is a new feature. But do your research, do your homework, and never ever share your previous salary from the countries that you worked before, the United States. It's a relevant question. The exchange, the money that you had in the previous country is different than here. The benefit you might have different benefit than here. So don't share this. This is what I've done. It worked. Thank you.
Jacqueline, would you like to go next?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to hearing Malet and Zina talk about what the to-dos are. I think I had those in my mind, but one of the things that happened to me when I accepted my job offer, I was too excited, I didn't negotiate. So I guess it was a combination of being desperate to get into the workplace, and my savings were low, and so I think one of the things looking back, and as I have been in my job for a while, and for my next session, I think the most important thing is when you get into negotiation for salaries. Since our salaries back home, my salaries was nothing. You can't compare. So that was what I was comparing it with to what I got here. I think it is a good thing to practice your negotiation skills and sleep on it. I think if I was to do this again, I would sleep on it. You know, like don't accept the first offer, kind of walk away and negotiate. So those are my 2 cents. But it was a great experience. Also going through negotiation. I think. That is the skill that I'm going to be working on, and that's what I would recommend people focus on: negotiation and research skills.
Thank you for sharing, Jacqueline. I do know in my work coaching immigrant job seekers that, this is a very common experience to, take the first offer you get without sleeping on it, like you said. And so that's really great advice for everyone to kind of take a step back and do research, again, like how Zina and Malet mentioned, and really kind of see if there's a room for negotiation there. So thank you so much all for sharing. I just wanted to remind our audience that our chat box is open. Please do share questions, suggestions, thoughts. Like if you feel like this is resonating with you, drop in a line. We'd love to hear from you. Just want to highlight, Caroline actually wants to know a few tips on empowering immigrant single moms in the workforce. And Caroline, we're just going to be covering that next, so stay tuned. So, one of the challenges that many of us face is balancing our professional careers with caregiving responsibilities. Social norms on this often differ between the US and our home countries, but this is an issue that challenges everyone. In the US, almost 70% of caregivers are female, people caring for children or aging parents, and this sets up for conflicting demands. A recent national study shows that 33% of working women decrease working hours, 29% pass up a promotion, and 22% take a leave of absence. This culminates in women having $40K less annually saved in retirement than men, and $324K less in Social Security. So let's set this up in 2 ways. I'd love to invite Belkina to share her story with us. So Belkina, you defied gender norms in Venezuela by leaving home to get a degree. And now you're here in the US supporting your family in Venezuela. Did the need to support them affect early decisions about the jobs you took in the US?
Yes, definitely. In Venezuela, honestly, all the political situation makes everything kind of dire. But personally, the cultural thing that we have is that we take care of the elderly people. Also, leave the family is like for women usually is when you get married. So that's another cultural issue that we have. So when in my case, when I get here in the U.S., it was like I need to get money. I need to produce money, and so it was increase the survival needs that you have to take care. So, but in that case, it's like you need to keep focused, because okay, you take care, trying to get money as soon as possible, getting even you get the offer and you don't care as much, you can negotiate how much you can earn. But in that case, like, you need to keep focusing your goal, what you want to get. Because most of us, we make, in my case, I made dietitian, but when I came, I was dog walker, server in a restaurant, different kind of job, survival jobs that I didn't have to be related to my my major. But that's why it's okay to have to do what you have to do, but keep focused on your goal to move forward. And the main chance that I had, I applied and I got my job. It was the most amazing day that I have in my entire life here in the US. So that's why I could recommend that.
Thank you, Belkina. So, you know, what I'm hearing is that, you know, it's always finding a balance between your survival job and also your ultimate job search goal. You know, sometimes it can be so hard to balance the two, but to always keep the bigger picture in mind. So thank you so much for sharing that. Jackie, I'd love to talk to you about your experience. I know that you arrived here in the US as a single mom with 3 children. Now that you're working, how do you juggle day-to-day responsibilities at work and home? Do you have guidance for us? And of course, Caroline, who posed the question earlier in the chat.
Yes, I think I was very fortunate that my workspace, my employer does have programs where when you're negotiating salary, it's not just about the money. Also find out about what is in the workspace. We've got a flexible time that allows me to work at home. So I negotiated flex time with my supervisor, so it's easy for me to be able to leave at certain times. For instance, I can leave at 5 o'clock, so I can pick up work at home and be able to go to the children's games, be able to go to school. And also, I think it is very important for me to balance my life. I am able to do that online with my family back home, and it gets me motivated to be able to spend time with the children. But the biggest, I think, opportunity for me has been the flex time and an ability to work at home.
Thanks for sharing, Jacqueline. I'd now like to call on Malette. I know your experience has been a little different because you're not supporting a family, but I do know that you've mentioned that it was challenging as a single woman, you know, here in the US. Can you share your experience on your around your challenges and any tips that you might have for job seekers in similar situations?
Yeah, on top of all of the challenges of being an immigrant job seeker, I think being a woman immigrant job seeker poses even a greater challenge. You know, even if I cannot claim, you know, to have as challenging a time as women with kids and supporting families, but being a single woman coming to a different country and trying to survive on my own had its own challenge. And one of the difficulties that I faced when I was a job seeker was I first moved to the US and settled in a relatively smaller city. And all the opportunities were coming my way were in the big cities, and I wanted to move to San Francisco, where I was attending upwardly global programs, you know, networking events, and going to different, you know, interviews and things like that. So I wanted to come and live in the city, but it has its own challenges because it is, as I mentioned, it's the most expensive city, and finding one of the challenges was finding a roommate. Everybody that I met, you know, from my community, who dared to move to a bigger city for a better opportunity were men. And you know, like as a single woman, safety was one of my concerns. I wanted to find somebody that I knew to move in with. I couldn't afford an apartment on my own. Even if I could afford it, I didn't have a full-time job, so nobody was to rent an apartment to me. So, it limited, being a woman limited my mobility and taking a risk and going out and doing what I wanted to do. So it's a kind of a little bit different challenge, but it was challenging by itself.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, definitely a different challenge, but a challenge nonetheless. So really appreciate you sharing that, Marlette. Belkina, I know that you too, moved here on your own. Do you have anything to add to what Marlette said, and any tips that do you want to share for folks in a similar situation?
Yeah, and in my case, it's the same. Like, it's a new country, new rules. Being single is not a condition. It's just making harder everything because you don't have enough support. It's you against the world. But the idea is trying to get a balance between trying to keep separate the business at work and personal issues at home, because sometimes it's normal, everything's different, and you trust. Sometimes you can have trust issues because you have homesick, or you miss what you know because it was usually in your country and you're afraid here in this new country. Of course, it's scary, and looking at that is scary, but you have be a fighter. You try to break your shell, because it's trust yourself, be confident, trying to be perseverant and being strong inside, because it's normal to be, in certain point you can be kind of depressed. In my case, at a certain point I went to an interview, and the person who was interviewing me, he said, "I don't think that your English is good enough." It's I'm doing my best, trying to, but even that is make you lose your confidence, So it's you have to be strong enough and keep all the feelings, and at home. And if you don't take a chance, how could you succeed?
Thank you for sharing, Belkina. I know that it's a extremely arduous journey for, navigating a new country. And I think a lot of what you said resonated with what other panelists have also mentioned. Be strong, be brave, keep an open mind, take that leap of faith. Like Jacqueline said earlier, to continue to persevere till you find that job. Okay, so I have been monitoring the chat feature, and there is one question that's been posed. I know Caroline had asked about navigating work as an immigrant single mom, and Caroline would like to ask you, would you like to ask a few more questions of Jacqueline and the team, or do you feel like you have the information you need? Okay, so you have the information you need. I got that off of the chat. Thank you, Caroline. So Adeline has a question here, and I'm going to pose it for the panelists. And I can also kind of add at the end. Many of the underemployed immigrants I know have great resume and interview skills. The problem is that recruiters don't pick up their applications due to structural bias, etc. How do we get unusual resumes noticed? Would any of the panelists try to like to answer that?
I would like to anticipate. What I did, you can if you're an engineer, if you're an HR, if you're any professional, you need to research and do what I did as HR. I researched within Dallas that any community, any social club for HR, and I was fortunate to find HR Dallas, where it's an organization that hosts so many workshops, so many events for free, and can give you training session and coaching session on how to land a job. During these sessions, some of the employers and recruiters are attending these sessions to find, this is where one of their resources to find a candidate. This is a chance for you to read Upwardly Global tips and tricks on how to do network, how to ask, how to brand yourself, how to differentiate yourself from other people and stand like a star among the other candidates. And this is what I did. I prepared myself. I had tips and tricks of Upwardly Global and prepared my question and answers. And luckily, there was somebody next to me. I didn't know I thought she's a candidate just like me. She was a recruiter. And then she took my resume and she's like, I'm going to find you a job. Within 3 days, as I told you previously, she called me and she said, are you available for an interview? And this is what happened. So fine, do some research. It's like hectic. There was ups and downs, but just have faith. Just believe in yourself. English is my second language, but I was like, okay, I don't care. I do have accents. They can understand me. So this is what I did.
And maybe I can also just, I think Zina is spot on, because I decided to go out there, meaning join clubs. I downloaded several apps. Fortunately for me, the UpGlow job fairs, I would call them job fair lights, because you had organizations come to talk to us, and they had recruiters. Accenture was there, Robert Half was there. I heard about temp agencies, and they were looking for people, and they were looking for professional people. And I know that it is hard, especially when you have to juggle doing a survival job, but you have to network, whether it is going to church and coming up with strategies like having a business card. You just need to get out there. And that is a very difficult thing to do, especially when the money is running out and you have to juggle so many things. But I think at the end of the day, for me, what worked was being able to come up with the keywords that branded me, what were the keywords that branded me, and being consistent in submitting these applications, going to job fairs and turning up, and I think it pays off. It pays off. It's hard, but it pays off.
Yeah, this is Mahalet. Just to add a little bit on that, I agree with my co-panelists. But also, what a great question, first of all. Structural bias exists. There's no doubt about it, and we have to fight through it. This is the part what makes the U.S. job search process very unique as well. It's like more than 70% of jobs are landed through networking. It's not enough just to apply online, even if you have a great resume and you did your documentation very well. It's not only enough to apply on the website of the company or doing things like that. You have to go out and network. If nobody knows you, as I always tell my clients, nobody's going to hire you. You need to find people who can advocate for you, who can vouch for you and say to a recruiter or hiring manager, please check out this person. This person is great. I believe in them. So in order to do that, you need to build your professional network, continue, communicating with the people that you need in the industry and keep them close, even if you don't need them at that specific moment. You might, need their reference, you might need them to flag your application to a company that you're applying for. So networking. That is how you get through the bias. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Zina, Jacqueline, and Marlette for sharing. As a former job seeker and an immigrant myself, I really do agree that, networking, putting yourself out there, really making those face-to-face connections and building relationships is an excellent way to combat the bias to an extent. But as an UPGLO representative and employee, what I do also want to talk about is how, we as an organization have recognized that structural bias exists. And what we do with our work with employer partners is do a recruiter training where, we talk about various cultural differences, and kind of educate recruiters in understanding that there is, a bias that exists and how to work through that. So it's definitely a work in progress, but something that we're also addressing from the other side as well. And, hopefully that will kind of generate change and, more opportunities for our wonderful clients that we work with. We're now at 10:26 a.m., that is Pacific Standard Time, so just a few more minutes before we wrap up. I feel like this has been such an illuminating discussion, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Before we kind of close, I would love to invite each panelist to provide, 2 sentences, not more than that, advice to clients or folks that might be in a similar situation. What would you like to share with them to help facilitate an easier job search? Belkina, can we start with you?
Yes, in my case, I recommend trust yourself, be confident. You know what you want and where do you want to get. What is your goal? Keep focusing your goal and work so hard, and the time will pay for.
Thanks, Belkina. Zina, can we have you go next?
Yes, I would like to say I believe there is a stone cannot be a diamond without pressure. In life, we say there is ups and downs. Don't give up. Believe in yourself and have faith. That's it.
That's beautiful. Yes, a diamond becomes a diamond because of all of the pressure. I really love that. Jacqueline, would you like to go next?
Mine is something I always share with my kids. The sky is the beginning. You've come to America, so never stop learning. Join a network and make new friends. This is a new place that you have come to. Make friends with your coach. My coach, Lauren, she's just amazing. I'm so happy to have her in my life as a new best friend forever. I think as long as you put in the work and keep anticipating new things, check these out with the network that UPGLO offers, you will be fine, but never stop learning.
I love that. The sky is the beginning. That is just such an amazing way to think. Thank you, Jacqueline. And Malet, what about you?
I would say keep improving your skills on every level, whether it's your hard skills or soft skills. Keep working at it, keep improving, keep motivating yourself, and never give up.
Thank you, Malet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Happy International Women's Day once again. I would love to thank Chanel and Adeline again for a lovely welcome note and for supporting us in our work here. Again, really, really thank you to the audience for sharing your thoughts and suggestions on the chat box. If you'd like to kind of talk about this webinar on social media, please use our hashtag #SheGlow hashtag. It's on the screen if you're signed in through the web link. You can also consider becoming a volunteer to mentor and support job seekers or former job seekers like Belkina, Malet, Jacqueline, and Sina. And you can also consider donating to the Upwardly Global program as well. Really, thank you everyone once again, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.